Are there any indications on when the electrical grid will permanently go down?
The sun's going to tell us that. I mean, we've been lined up for a crazy amount of solar energy coming at us. We've been predicting a geostorm. Most of us understand what the Carrington event was back in 1895, when there was a huge solar blast that came from the sun that hit Earth. And back then, it took out whatever part of the planet it hit first. Telegraph wires, it shocked people on the other end, and then disabled all of that infrastructure. Think about what that infrastructure was like back then. We didn't have too much electronically that we did. Our entire lives are based on that right now. So the next time the sun decides to send something close to a Carrington size, I can't tell you how many people I've heard say that same thing. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
We don't even have cash anymore, or very little of it, right? Everybody's phones, they're tapping, Cash App. If the power goes down, people's accounts just disappear, right? The money vanishes.
The bigger picture is that there's no power and there's no one coming to fix it. There's nothing left. Nothing.
Welcome to the Endless Possibilities Podcast, where the journey of spiritual awakening and energy healing unfolds.
The views, opinions, and statements expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the host, Garrett Dignam, the Endless Possibilities Podcast, or True Spiritual Awakening Limited. These conversations are shared for entertainment and exploration purposes only. We do not officially endorse any guest or their teachings. Please use your own discernment.
Now, welcome guys to another episode of the Endless Possibilities Podcast. This is a Christmas Day special, and we have a very exciting guest back on the show today. We have part 3 of the Lowell Johnson series. If you're just coming across this video, I highly suggest go back and watch Lowell's first 2 interviews. They're incredible. We spoke all about Lemurian civilizations living inside Mount Shasta, light beings that appeared on camera. He provided photographic evidence. They are probably our 2 biggest episodes ever on the channel. They're just gone from strength to strength, and I think they will continue to be them types of evergreen videos that people continuously watch. We made a suggestion on the end of the last one that people could put forward questions. Today, we are going to put your questions to Lowell. He probably picked maybe about 12 or 14 really good questions, and we're going to discuss them on the show. Let's buckle up for part 3. Lowell, welcome back on the show for part 3. Thank you for being here.
Well, I feel like we do this like once every couple of weeks now.
Well, I think we could.
There's been plenty to catch up on, and we haven't even touched on what the Earth is going through and the solar storms that are going on right now. We've been more focused on where people's hearts are with Telos and Lemuria and Mount Shasta, and those aren't the only energetic places. So,
well, we're going to get
overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, look, we were both just talking before we hit record about the amazing feedback the 2 interviews got. I'm just going to give you a quick, just some feedback, right? Combined episodes, they've both interviews together have reached over 122,000 views. One of them's less than 2 weeks up.
11 days.
11 days, and watch hours. We've tallied up 35,000 watch hours on both episodes, which is incredible.
Oh, wow.
It's incredible to think about that.
Wow. I never looked at it from that metric.
Yeah, well, I have all of that stuff in the back end system on YouTube, and I can see it all. And your episode 2, I would say in another 4 days will be our number 1 most viewed interview.
Yeah, I sense that it's going to scoot past Vivian's.
Yeah. Look, amazing, really amazing. So we're doing today, Christmas Day. We're hopefully people are going to sit down and relax and watch this great interview. And they have sent in lots and lots of questions for us to get into. So we're going to kind of read out a few of them. I didn't put the names. A lot of them were YouTube handles, and a lot of them didn't make sense. So I'm just going to read them out. If you hear me reading them out, you'll know that they're your questions. The one of the ones that came up most, people want to know more about Telos, Lowell.
Well, let's back the truck up for a second, because what we think of as Telos is the city underneath Mount Shasta. Telos is much more than that. Telos, when Lemuria was intact, was a whole territory, and it covered much of North America, parts of South America. That was Telos. So when I visited Sedona for the first time, and I was asked to come to investigate some energies, they were very familiar to me. And I didn't really, I hadn't put all the dots together, but Sedona and Shasta are part of the same energetic community, if you want to say. And I'm under the impression there's a former Lemurian temple is it the Prescott area in Arizona? Yeah, there's some underground facilities that are being developed, because there's going to be a need for us to find some other places to move to shortly. Just like it happened the first time when the Lemurians ended up in Telos the first time, it was because of the catastrophe that was happening. And the preparations were made for, was it 1 million? I think it was 1 million, maybe 2, but only 25,000 of them made it.
Okay, so I have a question of my own, right? Because I had another person on, and we were talking about 3D, like we're all living here in this physical reality, right? And then he kind of spoke about these sites, like Glastonbury, Sedona, Shasta, and he seemed to describe them as like stargates, right? And he says it's just where the veil thins, and then what's in the 4D is sort of overlaid. So is Telos in the 3D or is in the 4D within the mountain?
It's the next elevated dimension.
Okay.
It's not a 3D dimension.
Okay. So if you go and meditate and you connect on an energetic sense, you can probably, connect with them on a telepathic level, sense them. Maybe in meditation, you get visions, dreams start coming true, that sort of thing.
The answer to that, for me, is without question. If you get yourself to this meditative state where you can, reach into higher dimensions, and that's easier now than it ever has been. You already mentioned how the veil is thinning. It is, in fact, doing that. Once you get used to that, where you go, just like you were talking about in your OBEs and astral travel, has to do with what your intent is. What do you want? What do you want to see? Because when you resonate at that level, you can go wherever you wish. It's going to be interesting for people that don't really comprehend the bridge that people like you and I represent. Because our interest is in certainly, extraterrestrials, ultra-terrestrials that are off the planet. And by ultra-terrestrials, I mean ultra-terrestrials are the ones that we're familiar with. Extraterrestrials are the ones that we're not familiar with yet.
Well, I mean, Vivian Chavez that you just mentioned would be a prime example of a being that's come here to help humanity, comes from a different star system.
She's a perfect example.
Yeah, they're here.
And everybody needs to know what she is. We talk a lot about hybrids, and that's a whole different animal. She is not that. It's really difficult to put into words, who she is in that human avatar that she's in. But once you're around her, just her aura is so more elevated. There's just a loving person that just emanates from that girl, and you can't help but feel it. She chose to come and assist, and she knows the reason why. Earth is just about to complete this cycle, and she's here to prepare the rest of us as well.
And you spent time with her in person on Mount Shasta or close by.
Yeah, there was a conference, I think the last conference that I attended and worked, it's where I met Dave Wallace. Well, Dave knew Vivian. And one of the nights that we were there, I think the conference was 4 days long or so. And so Dave hosted a dinner. There were 8 of us. And Vivian and her husband Peter were 2 of the people that were there. So we had the entire evening to get to know one another. She's a delight.
Yeah. And what I'll do is for anyone who's curious about Vivian, I've interviewed her twice. You can find them in our most viewed down below or down below in the description. I'll put them in. So I'm going to go to the next question. With respect to ancient Lemuria, did they reside on the island of Kauai prior to migration to Mount Shasta? Do you know?
Well, here's where we have to educate people a little bit. For us to look at the current globe and the land masses, this is not at all what the world was like back when Lemuria was.
Hi, guys. I hope you are enjoying this episode with Lowell. This is just a quick request to any of the new viewers who may have found this episode and are enjoying our content. If you would like to help us out, if you like what you're seeing, you could do us a big favor by hitting subscribing to our channel. Let YouTube know that we are a worthwhile program on their platform, and they push us out to new audiences through the YouTube algorithm. What this means, it helps us out. It gives us more visibility on YouTube. It gives our guests more visibility, and you guys get to see bigger and bigger guests each week. So if you would like to help us out, hit subscribe. Now back to the show with Lowell.
Before it had sunk. When you look at Kauai, I understand that those are the tips of the mountains from Lemuria, that when it all sunk, this was what was left to kind of emit over the surface. So there's a lot of Lemuria underneath the ocean that we aren't really familiar with yet. Time will tell whether it does or not. But there's other land masses that are about to shift. And I can't tell you what that's going to happen. I'm a fan, and I believe that this pole shift is coming. How that jockeys, the surfaces around, well, it'll be interesting to know. There's one phenomenon going on in Africa right now. And if you watch where Ethiopia, there's a split in the country right now. And it's just going to be a matter of time before that breaks off. And is it Mauritius to the east coast? It's going to be another landmass like that that's going to pop off of Africa, because the land masses are going to change. They're going to continue to change. So it's been kind of comical to see when people take the globe and superimpose where they think Lemuria is on it. Yeah, that's not really how it works. We just don't know. And those were higher dimensional stages anyway. So to look at them from a third dimensional perspective, that really, it isn't accurate.
Okay. So my next question, you've probably answered that. So do UFOs go in and out of Mount Shasta? Is there a cave entrance that they use? Are they even physical, Lowell, or are they using fourth dimensional kind of crafts, or do they even need them?
Well, man, I got a whole lot. The word telomere keeps coming to me. And do you know what a telomere is?
No.
It's a way for someone to visit the surface without having to be on the surface. So those motherships that are circling over us, those star cities that are over us, their consciousness can come and visit us, and it looks like a light orb. I got a really great one of someone that saw that in Clinton, New Jersey, or New York. And this thing came out of the sky and was next to somebody. And this was no photographic anomaly. This was exactly what it was.
But I guess Okay, so in terms of like what we just spoke about earlier, you said you watched my out of body video that I did. So I know that me as a human, I can get into a state where I don't need a craft to take me to places. I can travel there in consciousness. So I'm guessing the likes of UFOs, do these
Mm.
races need like physical vehicles, or is it something else?
Well, I'm not prepared with an answer for that because I really don't know. My belief is that absolutely, positively. Do they drop into Shasta? Yes, I believe that they are. And these lenticular clouds, to me, that's a shroud for this kind of activity going in and out. And the veil's thin enough in that particular area, that energetic area, that we can see that part of it, but we're not seeing the craft go in and out. That's still higher dimensional activity. But look at what we do see. I had seen, and yesterday it happened again. Some, for whatever reason, over the last several days in Shasta, there's been a sequence of those phenomenon going on. The pictures of, if you want to call them lenticular clouds, let's just go with that for now so we have a frame of reference, have been photographed over the last several days by multiple people. Amazing. Oh my God. So I believe that it's elevated activity going on.
Okay, so I heard when the Spanish made their way over to South America first, right? When they started to arrive in their ships with the sails, the locals couldn't register them. They could not see them for some reason. There was a mental block that they just never had seen these ships before, and it was a complete mystery. Is it the same kind of thing that's happening, that we just aren't ready to see them, so we just can't?
Until you reach a vibrational state, which can put you in just any kind of wherewithal of that kind of thing, you're not going to. When I think of what it takes for us to have this kind of contact and these, I'm so sorry, Garrett. I
No, no.
just keep losing my.
Listen, it's totally fine. Look, we'll move on.
Okay.
Next question? Are you aware of an inner Earth community near Boulder, the Flatiron Green Mountain? I'm looking for validation that that they are not dreams I'm having.
Not that I'm familiar with, but let me qualify that. That does not mean that it's not there. And I'm really curious. I've been more curious about things here domestically in the United States and where these energetic places might be. If you ask me, I lived in Denver for a couple years, had a hotel project there, and every other weekend, if I wasn't going to the top of Mount Evans, I was going to Estes Park. I just love being in the mountains at that elevation. To me, there was something magical about it. And Boulder is on the way to those two places. So, yes, I believe that there isn't a place on the planet now, especially those places that are out in nature that vibrate at that level, that once you vibrate at the same level, oh boy, it'll just open up those worlds to you.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I think people in general, we're attracted to hike on mountains, right? For some reason, we're just drawn to them. We feel good in them types of spaces, around forests, nature. And there are definitely beings, that we can't see, that reside in these places, that are just there.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so here's an interesting one, right? So astrophysicists are predicting that the west coast in the US, so astrophysicists are predicting that the west coast of the US will be completely submerged, destroyed by the 2040s due to the magnetic poles shifting, causing the Earth to tilt on its axis. The YouTube channel Space Weather News is a great resource for this. What are your thoughts on this? Has Spirit shown you the same thing? Do you think Shasta will be destroyed?
That's a good question. Now, Shasta was chosen way back because of its qualities, because of how high it was in elevation
Mhm.
and how deep it went. those are the reasons why that was chosen. But if you're paying attention to all of the seismic activity that's going on and understand the Ring of Fire and what's going on right now, it's just a matter of time before the San Andreas Fault just breaks. In my mind, it's a certainty. And I don't think we're going to be waiting until 2040 for that to happen. Look at what's happened over the last week. It's just crazy. Now we're getting 7.1. And, I should leave my description of seismic activity to the experts because they do it so much better. You gave a good resource in Space Weather News. Ben is an expert at that type of thing. But then there's Dutch Sense, who's a guy that has the ability to forecast. He's been doing this for so long, analyzing earthquakes and plots. He's wonderful at it. He'll tell you that the same thing is going on, and it's just a matter of time before these finally happen. When we see like a 7.0 that hit Japan the other day, well, understand that the Ring of Fire is just those plate boundaries. So the plate is shifting. That means that it's a vibration that's going to follow the plate. And that's why we see the elevated activity on the west coast of the United States. It's because of what happened on the opposite side. It's crazy, but it continues to happen. I've been watching solar weather for a couple of years now, and that kind of morphed into watching earthquake activity. And now it's spawned into volcanic activity because it's just another expression of when the earth takes geomagnetic jolt like that, it's got to release it somehow. And did you see what happened in Kilauea the other day?
No.
Oh, episode 38 came out of 3 different places, and it took out one of the USGS hams over a kilometer away.
There's a lot going on, Lowell.
It is horrifically beautiful to watch these phenomenon go on.
But we don't want to fill people with fear either at the same time, right?
No, absolutely not. I don't know. But that's why we're here to talk about your vibration levels.
Yes.
We're going to help you perfect that. And so it's not like Earth isn't going to go through these catastrophes. I'd be lying to you if I said that we weren't. But you can prepare yourself so that when those things happen, we're moving to an elevated place on New Earth. And she's already got her solution in place. And if your vibration is right, so do you.
Okay, so that's literally a split. So it's like a new Earth, like a new dimension that's kind of opening up, right? And humanity is either going to vibrate at that new level and move into that new Earth, or they're just going to stay in the old version. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, fascinating. I have another question here. My understanding from Elizabeth Clare Prophet is that Archangel Gabriel has a home near Mount Shasta. Do you feel the presence of Gabriel or Saint Germain?
I have not, but I have, I was familiar with Saint Germain when I got to Shasta. And anybody who knows about Guy Ballard, Guy visited Shasta in the 1930s and ran into Saint Germain in the forest there. Gave him so much information to help humanity. I don't know if he wrote 12 books, 14 books, whatever it was. He started the I Am movement back then, and it found some acceleration. There's still a foundation that's still there in Shasta. It's not very active anymore, but they still have some property there near the falls.
Yeah. I mean, the Saint Germain one comes up quite a lot. I've seen in the comments. There's also another guy, I think they talk about Peter Mount Shasta. Have you come across him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter is actually a physical guy, lives there.
Yes.
Peter's probably in his, I got to say, in his 80s. I did have an opportunity to meet him. Somebody was having a session with him while I was there a few years ago and invited me to go along. And yeah, Peter's an interesting guy. He's been there for a while. He's got lots of stories to tell.
Yeah, he came up a number of times. I've seen his name come up in the comments. Okay, so this is an interesting one. You spoke about this on episode 1. Are there any indications on when the electrical grid will permanently go down?
The sun's going to tell us that. Watch what's going on. I mean, we've been lined up for a crazy amount of solar energy coming at us. We've been predicting a geostorm. Let me give you a frame of reference. Most of us understand what the Carrington event was back in 1895, when there was a huge solar blast that came from the sun that hit Earth. And back then, it took out whatever part of the planet it hit first. It took out telegraph wires. It shocked people on the other end and then disabled all of that infrastructure. So think about what that infrastructure was like back then. We didn't have too much electronically that we did. Our entire lives are based on that right now. So the next time the sun decides to send something close to a Carrington-sized event, which we saw a mass like that this week, fortunately, it didn't spew anything out us at that large, but it's just a matter of time. I can't tell you how many people I've heard say that same thing. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
So what is a solar flare for those who don't know? I don't know. I don't know what it is, Lowell. Explain it to me.
The activity that goes on in the sun is just, the sun's active all the time. You can watch it now. There's some really wonderful resources for you to watch what's going on and be advised what's coming. For people that may have been experiencing some, energetic things that they couldn't explain, I'm going to tell you where to look if you haven't been. Look at this solar activity, because you're nothing more than a geomagnetic thing yourself, little human. And when those things hit the Earth, it's going to affect all sentient life, not just the planet, all of us. And so that's taking place now. There are different types of phenomenon that come from the sun. If you look at it, you'll see these what look like dark holes. Well, those are called coronal holes. And there's a source of wind that comes from the sun and blasts out from there. I think it takes 8 days for the solar wind to arrive on Earth. And it takes a little more, and it's kind of a push. Well, then we have CMEs. And CMEs come from these complex areas where you can see negatively and positively charged places on the sun's surface. And when they interact, it creates these magnetic loops. You can see them bubbling up off the sun all the time. Well, when that gets drastic enough, it spits off and either sends a little flare or a filament in our direction. There's a lot more coming off the sun that doesn't head toward Earth, that God bless us, it doesn't right now, because there's been a lot more activity. We are still in the times that they consider solar maximum. So this activity is elevated anyway. They come in 11-year cycles, and we're kind of on the other end of it, but we still have a few years of this phenomenon to take place. That's why I stay on alert, because the idea of, the next seismic activity splitting the San Andreas Fault or Africa into two, it's going to happen. It's coming. We've seen all kinds of evidence, whether we're paying attention or not.
Okay, so let's take the word. Everything's gone digital, right? We don't even have cash anymore, or very little of it, right? Everybody's phones, they're tapping, Cash App. If the power goes down, people's accounts just disappear, right? The money vanishes.
Well, that's our 3D way of looking at things on what we're going to lose. The bigger picture is that there's no power and there's no one coming to fix it.
Okay.
There's nothing left. Nothing. So we're counting on this split in the timelines that we've been told about. And really, I'd heard about a long time before I really understood what that was. This new Earth split from, old Earth and what's taking place. You can sense the people that are ready for new Earth and their vibrations right. The day that this transition happens, they got nothing to worry about. They're already dialed in. I'd like to think that there'll be more signs for us to kind of pay attention to. But then I'm thinking, God, we've had all the signs we need to pay attention to this activity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, something that happened, in the last couple of years was a big shocker for us. Our freedom taken away. That was a big kind of shake up for the world, right?
Yes.
To take notice. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Things are about to change. And these things have happened before on the planet.
Mm.
Atlantis was an example. Lemuria was an example. Other civilizations came and went, during that. It was just part of evolution. What's different this time is that Earth herself's consciousness is on the rise. She's no longer locked into this third dimensional physical reality anymore. No. Her consciousness is elevated, and she's trying to take the rest of us with her.
Okay. But that makes sense. Okay. Next question. Kind of know what you're going to say. Are Lemurians going to appear and visit us in the 3D?
No. The answer to that is no. And here's why. In order for them to come down to the third dimension, they have to drop their frequency. Their vibration has to drop. And it can be done.
We have to go up, right?
It's going back up. That's the challenge. Yeah. The time that I got to go, when I went back to Shasta the year after Telos, and I wanted to go back to that spot to see what would happen, I ran into Shyama there. She was at the entryway, and that was the first thing I thought. She was just inside the entryway. And I thought, why don't you come out? And she said, well, you already know the answer to that. It's too dense.
Okay. And look, we spoke before we hit record. We were talking about the, kind of waking people up to go and do this themselves, not just sitting on YouTube, listening to us talking about it, like meditate. Maybe, try and learn astral projection, go and visit these places. It's open to, we're all consciousness. We can all do it if we choose to do it,
Bless your heart. I'm glad you said that. There isn't a human being that isn't capable of the things that you and I have experienced. Not one. We're all designed the same way. It's our awareness of what's going on around us and our vibration. That is what I've been hammering home this whole time, because it's really the only thing I can tell you to work on. I'm not a healer in that way that I can tell you what you need to do to get there.
Yeah.
My roadmap is entirely different from everybody else's because my journey was different, and so was everybody else's. So when we honor that, we get to kind of pay tribute to what everybody else, and when we share these stories together, it just brings kind of more community together. Oh, others are having these experiences as well. Doesn't it feel good?
Well, I mean, look at the comments. There's hundreds and hundreds of people saying similar things to what you said. Capturing the orbs, the images around Mount Shasta, visitations, all that kind of energy stuff going on. A lot of people even spoke about what you mentioned of literally just tuning into the frequency of Mount Shasta. You don't even have to go there.
I was clueless to any of that. I didn't go to Shasta because it was my first pick when I made the trip. It was a thought that was placed in my head when a destination I thought I would go didn't really seem like it was that available. When I got there, I went alone. All I wanted to do was spend time on the mountain. I didn't really need to engage with anybody else. I just wanted to sit on the mountain, and whatever that felt like, I didn't want to leave it. My intent, as most of you know, was to go there for 2 weeks. I ended up staying for 5. I just found some groove. I didn't want to leave.
That's incredible. Yeah. Yeah. And there are places, and we looked at your map, all over the world, people can find it in their own countries.
That was the reason I put that together. And I keep adding to it because there's a lot of energetic places around the planet that we're unaware of. Kind of made it my mission to plot them all. That was more because I like to see things from an elevated perspective now. I like to see something from like off the planet. So Google Earth is perfect for me. I like to see things from that perspective. And I wanted to see that's such a wonderful tool for us to plot these places. And when you start to find them in unlikely places, now, I'm not saying that I found a lot of places in Russia because I'm pretty sure most of those are on lockdown, but we did find the occasional ones in China. And I didn't expect to find any of those things out there that the public would be able to find. They're all over. If you're curious about such a thing and you haven't reached out already, send me a little note and I will send you a link to the file yourself, or Gareth can put it in the notes here. It's available for everyone. And every now and then, if I think of something else, it'll get added to it. So it's a project.
I think that would save you a lot of work. If you could share the link with me, I'll put it in the description of the video. And that way you don't have to keep sending it out to people's email
Absolutely.
address. So I think that would be great. And
Okay.
I heard of one, and I'm not sure if I saw it on your map, but a couple of years ago, I don't know if you know who Tom Campbell is.
His name's familiar.
Yeah, he's phenomenal, and I would have considered him my teacher for many years. And in 2019, I was with a group in Newcastle in the United Kingdom. We stayed in a place called Lumley Castle, big castle, and he had this sort of out of body astral travel kind of workshop. Right, there was 100 people there, and on the last night, we got a small group of us of I think 10 people had got to have dinner with him, and we spoke about these sites. It came up the topic. And he spoke, he wasn't entirely sure about them, but he spoke about a place in Poland, in Krakow, called Wawel, I'm probably butchering the name, Wawel Castle, he said it was called. And he said it's a cathedral, or it has a cathedral in the castle. And he said he went down into the catacombs, and he said down in the catacombs, there was something called, they call it the chakra stone. And he said, he didn't know how it worked, and Tom knows everything, but this was a portal into the non-physical. He just said it was like, like literally it was the veil was thinned completely out in that catacomb. Yeah.
What I learned during this project is that a lot of those castles in Europe and other places were all built on energetic grids too.
Ley
Whether
lines.
whether they understood what they were doing or not, that's why they lasted as long as they did. So you'll find tons of those castles on the map as well. It was surprising to me. In all of Europe, all of Scotland, Ireland, I found more castles that were amazing, some that were still intact, some that are still not, but nonetheless, still placed on energetic spots.
Yeah, I think they would get there, feel the frequency, and defend that. This is going to be where we're going to put a cathedral or a church or a castle. And yeah, because I think I spoke to a woman like going back years ago, 2014. She was from the UK, and that's what she studied. She studied these ley lines and then these stone circles. And she said that, when you would see these like just stones sticking up in fields in the UK and Ireland, she's like, they haven't been there. They're not just random. They've been placed there to disperse energy. So they would put them on a ley line and divert energy for farming. So they would send better energy to these fields, and then the farmers could grow better crops. They knew what they were doing.
Yes. Yeah. Whether that was some kind of divine inspiration and they did have a vibration, who can say? But the outcome was still the same.
Yeah. Okay. More interesting questions again. I think I know what you're going to say for this one. I have heard a lady/princess came from Telos and spent a few years in our 3D level. Do you know of her? Are there any other people like this that might be living in our 3D reality who've come from there? Is it possible?
There's a few Lemurians that live in Shasta. I've met a couple of them, and they look Lemurian. They keep to themselves for the most part. Shrouded ducks is who you're talking about.
I don't know who it is.
I'm going to tell
that
you.
name again.
Shrouded ducks.
Okay.
Sharuladux. Sharula is a princess. She is the daughter of Ra and Ranamu, the king and queen of Telos. I had been told about Sharula by a guy named Rob Potter. Rob passed on, but he had been really good at Shasta conferences. And for 10 years or so, he had put them on. He knew about Sharula and had told me about her. Well, she had done a presentation that was about 2 hours long, and somebody had recorded it and put it onto YouTube and broke it up into like 12 10-minute segments. I wasn't engaged enough in what the content was. I didn't know what I was being presented, so I kind of skipped through it and didn't really pay any attention to it until later, when it really hit me on the gravity of this. Because what this ended up being, there was a woman I met in Shasta, delightful Diane Robbins. Some of you may know Diane. She's written many books on Inner Earth, Telos, channels Dhamma, has been for a long time. She's a little more frail than she used to be, but Diane knew Sharula, and they were traveling together. I think Sharula ended up on the surface, if you want to see it that way, in the late 80s. And then somehow in year 2005, 2007, that time just disappeared again. She spent time in Shasta, spent time in Sedona, spent time in New Mexico, in Taos. They had a place there, and she was going from place to place trying to educate people on the Lemurian society. Well, once it finally hit me what that really was, I asked Diane Robbins for permission to, put those things back together. And this presentation was the last one she had done that had been recorded, and Diane had recorded it on an audio tape. It was 1993. And so I took that and took some of the Inner Earth images that I had and streamed it all back together. So if you're curious to see it, it's on my YouTube channel. It's well worth it, because if you really want to understand the history of Lemuria and what it was like to be there, listen to this.
I'm going to link to it below. There's going to be a whole list of links below everything we spoke about today.
It's awesome.
Wow. Okay, that was a great question. So, yeah, okay. So, research put out by Michael Forrest on similar artifacts. Okay, and now we're talking about what the artifacts you showed us in episode 2, right? Found in Mexico, and the material is geopolymer at the very least. Did the native people create these pipes, etc., or were they gifted to them by other beings? We cannot replicate these stones today.
No, I don't know what the material is. It's when I held it, it felt like stone, but I knew it wasn't. It felt like ceramics, but I knew it wasn't. So when somebody suggested it was some kind of composite, that's probably closer to the truth, but I don't know. It's still curious to me how these stones are shaped the way that they did. Who knows what kind of technology they had? And then the intricacies of what they were carving into it. There were other things other than just these carvings that I saw that had multiple pieces to them. You can't discount it anymore. And I know we were talking about, I had a Zoom yesterday with one of your listeners from Hungary, and he's been doing tons of research on this. And Mr. Forrest was part of the things that he had to show me yesterday. A lot of that stuff came from, whether it was Incan, whether it was Mayan, whatever it was, you can't deny that there was tons of this stuff that they've found now, and none of this stuff wasn't made up. No. That the nature of the material, like you talked about, is the one thing that makes this. Nobody could have created something that wasn't whatever this is. There's just too much of it. And when I started to listen to the descriptions of what these inscriptions saw, because I only saw what I saw with no interpretation. Well, yesterday provided me with some interpretation. And if you have it within your wherewithal to be open to the ideas that there were giants on the planet, there are certainly carvings that demonstrate that, and lots more than just one.
Wow, wow. I mean, this is fascinating that from these interviews, so much stuff has opened up. You having conversations with people in Hungary. Yeah, it's opened up a whole series,
Yeah.
right? We've so much to talk about and discuss.
You know, it had been that way before you came along, my friend. And then when you did, your audience just kind of spawned different things. They all asked the right questions, good questions, not crazy ones. They all have a curiosity of their own that they need to satisfy.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay, so I get on to the next question. What is the significance of the interstellar object Three-Eye Atlas and the current solar maximum cycle of the sun in the rising of human consciousness? Currently, we are being bombarded with cosmic energies. Do the Lemurians from Telos know about these?
Everybody knows about this other than
I
us.
don't. I'm not. I'm sorry, Lowell. I have to disappoint the viewer. I'm terrible. I had to Google what Three-Eye Atlas was.
I think it's a lot. What keeps popping up in the media is a lot to do about nothing. It's a focus to, oh, it's some kind of cosmic contact. It just doesn't resonate with
It,
me that way.
it's a comet of some sort, is it?
I don't even know. Honestly, I haven't pursued it because there's just too much misinformation around it and too many crazy ideas about it that I'm hanging on to what I know, and the rest of it I just have to dismiss.
Okay. Well, you're not going to like the last question.
It's okay.
Are you coming to Shasta for the solstice and the Three-Eye Atlas? I presume maybe there's a sighting of the comet or something at around the solstice this year.
Well, it depends on which solstice you're talking about. It won't be the winter
It doesn't.
solstice.
It doesn't say.
It's interesting. A lot of the times I found myself in Shasta over the 4 years I was going there, I was always there during summer solstice. And there was always something crazy energetic that happened. My interaction with Toth happened the third year I was there under those circumstances.
Talk to me about that.
Oh, that's another. That
Okay.
needs a whole episode of its own. And
Okay.
that's going to assume people are really open to the idea of contact with higher intelligences because we can all get it. And when you're called repeatedly, you can't ignore it anymore.
Okay, so that's kind of leaving them on a cliffhanger, right? They'll be having the
Yeah, well, there may be a fourth after the first of the year. Then.
Yeah, I mean, great questions, right? They really amazing
Yes.
questions, and the answers have been amazing. Just to go back on the solstice, for me personally, I don't notice that much with the summer solstice, but I notice it really strongly with the winter solstice. I find that day for me, I can really feel the changes on that day. Do you know much about the solstice and what happens?
Well, it's all about alignment to the sun. And it's halfway through the,
Sure, no, I understand, and it's like I know the winter solstice is the literally the darkest day of the year, right? And then the summer
it's
solstice,
the shortest day of the
shortest
year. That's
day.
right. It's
Yeah,
the shortest amount of daylight,
yeah,
where the summer solstice is the entire opposite. And it all has to do with the way that the earth is tilted
yes,
and the way that it moves around the sun.
yes, and
But they're
somehow,
energetic for sure.
yeah. So these are days to meditate on. Maybe go to Mount Shasta on one of them, right? Go and
To me, they're maximum vibration days. Those are the conditions that are right cosmically. So if you can find an area that you think is vibrationally, that matches you, those are the times that you should feel more of it.
well, I would have to say that there are certain days. I mean, even
Mm.
the full moon, right? On the full moon, there's a lot of activity goes on. I notice, meditations are stronger, more energy. When I used to have the out of body stuff, the activity would be crazy around the full
Yes.
moon. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there has to be something to it.
There is, I wish we all could understand what the cycles of the moon and even our solar system, for that matter, all have an impact on what goes on with us and with, the planet. It's all part and parcel. Not to throw a monkey wrench into any of this, but that phenomenon that's coming from the sun and this elevated photon energy that we're receiving doesn't come from the sun. That's where we get it from, but it comes from our central sun, Alcyon. Our entire solar system goes around her. We're just adapting. Our solar system has now moved into a cycle moving around Alcyon, this central sun, where we've shifted out of the age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius. We've heard that song for I don't know how many decades now. We are in. As of 2012, we have entered into that. By 2016, our entire solar system now has been bathed into an elevated band of proton energy coming from the central sun toward us. Our sun modulates it, which in my mind explains all the crazy activity going on. And when she gets hit with something, she's got to send it out just like when Earth gets hit by something electromagnetically. That has to get expressed out. But we've been going through this for decades now. You, little sentient being, are being changed at a cellular level to adapt to new Earth conditions. And
Wow.
here's where it's coming from.
Wow. And I just want to let people know Lowell has been under the weather for the last 4 or 5 days, and he still
Yes.
agreed to turn up today. And I know what it's like trying to function when I'm sick. So, I mean, you've been amazing today, Lowell, and your previous
Thank you.
two episodes were great. So, if I could kind of give my 2 cents on what I sense these interviews have done, because you have incredible energy, right? When you're presenting all this stuff, it's like you make it so excitable, right? People are they're really getting amped up about it, and I think what you're doing is you're prizing people's minds open to something greater. And I think what the message is like, okay, we're presenting it to you. Now it's up to you. Don't
That's
just listen
always
to
been
us.
it.
Go
That's
and
always
do
been
it
it.
for yourself. Go and meditate. Go to Mount Shasta. Go and be your own scientist, right? You go and collect the information.
Get your ass off your couch and go get your own answers. That's what I did. I didn't wait for somebody. It's not that I didn't research lots of things and went through lots of YouTube stuff. If I wanted real answers, I was going to go to the places I was going to get them myself and find out for myself. That's all I'm asking the rest of you to do. Stop relying on all the stuff that you heard for yourself and go get your own answers.
Yeah, it's like for me personally, right? One of the greatest people that ever prized my mind open was Bob Monroe. He died back in the early 90s, and Bob was an out of body explorer, and he has 3 books: Journeys Out of the Body, Far Journeys, and Ultimate Journeys, and they are classics, absolute classics. And I mean, I must have read them books 100 times, and he teaches you that you can actually do all of this for yourself. You can practice out of body travel. You can do it if you stick at it. I mean, it's difficult, but if you keep at it, you can go to these places. You can travel to the moon. You can get your own answers. So
I love to hear you say that because look, whatever Bob Monroe wrote resonated with you so much is you needed to continue to digest that to get every little piece of what he was saying out of it because it resonated with you so much. That's what, in my opinion, the last 2 interviews we did are doing the same thing. We're today's version of what Bob was trying to get people to just consider. I'm not saying you have to believe it. That's not my job. I'm asking you to let your discernment kick in and you decide.
and they shouldn't believe it, and they should be skeptical, right? You don't want to believe anything. You want to go and collect your own data, your own information, and you sit on YouTube in a couple of years and give a presentation about what you come up with. And yes, the Bob Monroe books, I have listened to them. I've read them, and I got them on Audible, and I would listen to them books every night going to sleep. I just love listening to all his stories. He's such a character. Lowell, it sounds like there is a part 4 somewhere in the making down the line.
Well, we're never going to be done with this, and we're not done evolving either, you and I, pal. There are other things that are going on that just adds to our, catalog, and I'm happy to share it all.
You may as well, Lowell. Go on.
I think of the occasional comment that we get from, I don't know, I want to think maybe some of those are bots, and maybe some of those are just, I don't know what the problem is. They just don't get it. But having said that, it's still among all those other hundreds of comments, and it didn't seem to influence anybody else.
Oh, the comments. Yeah. I mean, look.
Yeah.
They go on every single video. I mean, I get called all sorts of names.
I saw that you had made a reference to somebody in your last video about somebody you thought had already unsubscribed.
Yeah. I mean, I've just gotten such a thick skin at this time. Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
It's all we get to do. Look, all I'm going to do is tell you what I know to be the truth. And then it's up to you to discern whether it's your truth too. It doesn't need to be. I'm not here to hold out. This is the only way that it is. You got to find your own way there.
And Lowell, just to let the people know, right? It's not you or I triggering the people. The trigger is in them, right?
Yes. That curiosity. If what I said didn't resonate, you'd skip it over and you move on to the next thing. But something, when you speak, when I speak, gets people's attention, and that there's a rabbit hole that they need to go follow.
Exactly, Lo. And I mean, they're watching to the very end as well.
It seems to be, 35,000 viewer hours later.
Yeah. I mean, look, 99.9% of the comments completely resonated with everything you said. Of course, there's always going to be people. Every single video I put up, I get something. I get one, I get a couple of thumbs down. I get the odd comment. It's just what people do, right? It's just
the tribe is showing up, and when they take away what they got here, they have their own circle of influence. And all we're trying to do is bring all these circles together so that we're all working off the same page.
Yeah. And I think if they are part of the tribe, show Lowell the love in the comment section. Let us know. I mean, I've been sitting reading them all for weeks now, and I'm sure Lowell has as well. They've been amazing. Lowell,
I do. Well,
amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm so happy that we can share this one on Christmas Day with the viewers as well. What a great day for this one to come out as well. Lowell, enjoy the Christmas, enjoy the holidays. Thank you. You've been amazing. Thank you to the viewers and listeners for all the support. I hope you enjoyed the trilogy. Thank you, guys. Take care. Thank you, Lowell.
Thank you.
This has been the Endless Possibilities Podcast, where the journey of spiritual awakening and energy healing unfolds. Garrett is a lifelong seeker of truth, a spiritual teacher and author, and it's his passion to delve into the profound world of consciousness. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and we hope you've gotten something from it. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, the podcast is available on YouTube and all the major podcasting platforms. Find us on Instagram at @the_mother_force. Take care, and we'll see you soon on the Endless Possibilities Podcast.